Good evening, everyone. Manzezoke here, speaking once more. For many of you who joined me or who were, I think it's late. It's late now. I'm, uh, I'm beginning to speak like my brother, Dimeja. If it's not past party, then it can be taken. So, good evening, everyone. Manzezoke once more speaking to us here. As I promised to come online again, here I am, but it might not be too long as usual, as I normally do, because I do have the following to say. But before I get into the nitty gritty of what I want to, do this evening, I want to play this interview uh, granted to BBC by this man, that. His house was burnt in Imo State, and in that process, his wife got, the fire touched his wife, or now late wife. Eventually, the woman died, and that's, while I was watching this really indeed broke my heart, and I decided, as a mark of respect, to pay my own respect to the family as well, and to say, may her soul rest in peace. And may anyone who had hand in her death also receive their own fair share of the law of karma. Now, let's watch this together to see this.
Mamu no stroke na-azọ ndụ ụmụ ya abụọ na-azọ ndụ ya nwa n'onwe nke ya site n'ọkụ ndị amị mụnyere n'ụlọ anyị na-enweghị ihe anyị mere. Aha m bụ Sunday Okebata. Abụ m onye Izombe dị na Ukwuta Local Government Area of Imo State. O mere na ụbọchị Fraịde bụ 8 of October. Agaala m ọrụ, nwunye m akpọọ m sị m lekwa ihe na-eme na ndị amị na ndị yut nwere okwu nke kpatara ndị amị ji gbuo onye yut, ndị yut egbugbukwa ndị amị. So ndị amị na-amụnyezi ụlọ ọkụ. Nwunye m gwa mụ na particular onye amị bịa na our house oge ha na-amụnye ụlọ ọkụ, hafụ onyanwa my mother na ụmụ m abụọ na-agwa ha na enwe onye gbabata na be anyị, ha kpọpụta ya ka ha gbagbuo ya. Nwunye m agwa ya sị na enweghị onye dị otu ahụ gbabatara ebe ahụ. Mma m kwa asịkwa na enweghị onye dị otu ahụ gbabata. Ha abụọ esekpuru ala na-ayọ ndị amị si ha biko na enweghị onye dị otu a gbabatara na ụlọ anyị.
Now, for many of you, and for the benefit of my viewers, international viewers who do not understand Igbo, the language being spoken here, for those who do not understand Igbo, what is being said here is very simple. The wife was at home with the aged mother who had stroke in 2014, and suddenly the military men came into their house and said that someone ran into that property, obviously, into their compound. And she said no, they saw no one and no one was there. They knelt down begging the army, knowing that the army, in the manner they act, that something could go wrong. They knelt down begging the army. Even the woman who had stroke, who could not move. And somewhat, the army now left them in the house, went out and set the house ablaze. She was able to rescue the mother, that is the mother-in-law. She was able to rescue her own kids, but in the process, her clothes caught up with fire. Now, she got about 45% of her body was burnt, and which eventually led to her untimely.
Ndị amị ewere egbe tụma ha abụọ si ha na ọnwụ na ha kpọpụtara ha na a ga-agbagbu ha ayọwa. So mgbe ndị amị na-enwezi ha ga-eme, ya mezi ha pụzie gawezi ụlọ tụnyezie ọkụ. Mgbe a mụnyere ụlọ akwụkwọ, nwunye m na mma m nwere stroke kemgbe 2014. Mma m cannot walk except with the help of stick. Onye amị enweghị obi ebere na lekwe na onye a emego agadi and ojiri ahụ. Mgbe ọkụ na-eregizi na-ebatazi ebe mma m ha na-aga, ka nwunye m na-adọzi mma m na-adọkwa ụmụ ya abụọ ka a pụta na ya bụ ọkụ. So ka o jisiri ike dọpụtazie mma m, dọpụtakwa na ụmụ ya. Ọ maazị otu ọkụ si nwetazie akwa oyi n'ahụ. So ọ hụzi ebe ahụ ka ọkụ ahụ si wee gbaa ya ka ahụ ya niile. So ebe ahụ m nọ mgbe ndị agha gbachara egbe, ka ofu nọmba kpọrọ m sị m kwa mụ nwa bụ Sọnị, asị m ee na ọmụnwa bụ Sọnị. Ọ sị mgbe mụ gaa na hospital nọ nearby the village Izombe, na ebe ahụ ka nwunye m nọ, mụ ga-akpọrọ nwunye m na ha jisiri ike kpọta ebe ahụ na ọkụ gbara ya nke dị ọfụma. So mgbe m nụrụ ya, ike gwụrụ m, nye mmezi ma abanyezie moto, bụrụzie moto ahụ gazie ebe ahụ ọ nọ na ụlọ ọgwụ, bụrụzie gawazie na FMC Owerri. Ọnọdụ ya n'ụlọ ọgwụ na mbụ, mgbe anyị bịara on Friday night, itinye drip adịrọ izi maka na enweghị ebe akwara ya niile bachara inside due to ọkụ ọgbụgba, mana ha jisiri ike gbalịa nweta akwara ya n'abalị ahụ. Mana ka chi foro, after anyị mechara test on Saturday, ka dọkịta kpọrọ m gwa m na nwunye m nwere 41% burn in her body. So ọnọdụ ya adịghị mma n'ihi na ọkụ gbachara ma ihu ya, ma aka ya abụọ, ma obi ya, ma azụ ya. Dọkịta mekwere ka m mara na ọkụ ahụ metụtakwara ya umejie n'ime ya. Mgbe ọ nwụrụ, mụ na ya nọ, even n'ụkwụ m ka ọ nọ nwụọ, n'ụkwụ m ka ọ nọ nwụọ. So enwekwe na ozi ndị ozi m tupu ọ nwụọ. Otu o si na-adị, n'ihi na mụ nwa ma onwe m enweghị m any record whatsoever. I've not been in any criminal activity. I've never been mischievous. I've not been a nuisance. So, maybe m mpụ, etiebe m aka na ihe rụrụ arụ. Achọrọ m ikpe ziri ezi n'ọnwụ nwunye m.
Okay, so you have listened to this. See, the reason this has no connection to what I want to talk about this evening. But again, of what use would I be talking about the things that happen at the larger scale, whereas at the macro, the macro level, or rather the micro level, that these things are still happening. This, now this is not any other medium that you can say that this is fake news. This is from a reliable source, and this is from the BBC Igbo service. I do sometimes hear when people say that BBC is biased. In that sense, I laugh because many of us do not understand what it means to verify news. We think it's just sharing nonsense online, unverified. But here is a man whom, he had a family. Again, not for 1 second do I make any argument for anyone. If there were some criminalities in an area, of course, the military should go after criminals, get them if alive, then take them to the law court. Take them through the due process. If the court of competent jurisdiction, jails them, so be it. But at least by not killing anybody, what it means is even if there is a miscarriage of justice, then the person is still alive for the wrongs to be corrected. But not when you come in, you walking into a civilian space. I keep arguing on this platform anywhere I go. There is no need and there is no reason why military would have anything to do within a civilian space. It is an aberration. That's why we have the police. That's why we have the military police, which we call model police, or some call them MOPO, irrespective of the nomenclature. We do not need, and we do not, because the military These are men and women who are trained to basically shoot at sight. And what it means is that once they come out there and they see people, they behave in manners that you think, what are they doing there? Shouldn't they, send them maybe to Zambeza or where you have the bandit. Look at the videos coming out where people are being kidnapped in broad daylight at the Kaduna Abuja highway. Yet, can't we station the military there? And sometimes when you see these pictures, you begin to wonder, these videos, like the one we published yesterday and day before yesterday, and you begin to ask yourself, where is the role of helicopters? Where is the role of drones? Because you can see these people just being kidnapped, gone into the bush on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side. And because this is just bush, when you stand at the same level, the bush covers them. But if we are smart thinking people and we tackle these people from the air, you basically be looking at them where they are working. So I don't understand why, who leaders can't even engage their brains. Sorry. So these things, sometimes I just get tired. But, before I move away from this particular one, I would say the people of Imo State, I think, please, it's time to stand up and hold your leaders to account. When I say leaders, all your elected or selected or Supreme Court leaders, whatever nomenclature they come, please, it's time to hold them to account. I wonder what the Imo State House of Assembly and those who claim to represent the people, what they're actually doing in the house. I wonder, and someone told me the other day, earlier today, that I hope Rocha Sokorocha spoke about it in the assembly. I said, well, I haven't seen it. But what we are demanding is that it's not too much for you to speak up for those who you say you are representing, whom you say you are representing their interest. This is too bad. This is too bad, honestly, that people are being killed in this manner. And to the military, remember that we do understand that your jobs can be very dangerous, but again, of what use is that for you to be killing innocent people? When you do, you lose confidence of the people. But in this case, it hurts to see houses, huts, shops, shades, all manner of things being burnt because of altercations. This is not correct. This is injustice. And the reason why we speak up is very simple. The reason why I speak up, it happens in Imo State. There is need for all of us to speak up because it can happen in Anambra State. We must speak up. It could happen in Kaduna. We must all speak up. Remember, many years ago, under Obasanjo, it happened in Odi. In Odi, Timaya sang about it. Many of you who do not know what informed Dem Mama Soldier. Dem Mama Soldier. Google that song, Dem Mama Soldier. DEMMAMA Soldiers. Dem Mama Soldiers. That's what brought about that song. It happened in Zakibiam. But I think about 2-3 years ago, during the Operation Crocodile Smile, we saw our mothers, our sisters, our kids being defiled and sexually abused by those who came in to implement Operation Crocodile Smile. It happened in Delta State. It happened in Bayelsa State. Rivers is not an exception. Now it's Imo State. We all saw when it happened in Zaria in Kaduna. One thing that unifies us as human race is that we have the same blood run across our veins. It's no time to hate one another. It's no time to begin to say it suits them right. No, it suits no one right. Evil is evil, irrespective of who it befalls. Because if we do not speak up now, that you and I are still free, walking around, we don't know what will happen tomorrow. Myself sitting down here now is 11 minutes, 14 minutes to 11 here. I don't know who is watching. I don't know if they might jump my fence, of course, which is the normal thing they do. They scale fence, they jump in, they try to get you for doing what? Nothing evil, but basically for speaking truth to power, to say enough, that this must stop. Because when I say this, it breaks my heart. How do you think that these children will begin to feel when they eventually grow up and ask about their mom and they were being told that soldiers came into their house, not in Zambeza forest, their house, a place of their place of sanctuary, a place that ought to be kept, holy for the kids, but they saw how soldiers came and burnt their house. And how do you think these children would ever feel? This, call it whatever you want. Some may say it's hate. Some may say it's, I don't honestly care the name which we call it. All I say is it must stop. Those who are in authorities, those who have powers and connections to make this nonsense to stop, must wait in now, and this nonsense must stop. Again, for those who lost their lives and those who properties were destroyed, I say take heart, because that's the least one can say. And those are brothers and sisters that lost their lives, I say, may your souls rest in peace. But we must seek for justice. And justice, it might take time, but I think there is need for justice. The chief of army staff, of course, you have to call your men to order. And the youths who provoke these things, also shed your sword. Because at the end of the day, it can only take two to tango. Please, this madness must stop. Now, having said the above, rather the following. Now, let me come down to the reason of my conversation, this broadcast this evening. Many of you will know before Buhari became president. There is one thing I do. I have loads of archive. But when Buhari, before he became president, he was telling us that subsidy is a fraud. That anybody who pays subsidy is a fraudster. And I'm like, is that so? If that be the case, then I must say, let me probably invite my good friend. Anyway, let's hear Buhari out. Let's hear him out. Buhari, where are you? Where are thou? As some people, as the King James Version people will say, Buhari, where are thou? So let's see where Buhari is, and let's see what Buhari will say. Because Buhari is telling us that he is not a party to anything called subsidy. But let me quickly see if I can find his video. Okay, yes, I found it. Okay, people, listen to Buhari. Now, if anybody... No, listen. So listen to what your president said. And this happened, I think, around 2014, when he wasn't yet the president. Now, before I continue, if you're joining me for the first time, you haven't seen my face, please, my name is Mazes, okay? You can, at any point in time, click the like button and share this video. If you're watching me on Facebook, we have about 36 people watching on Facebook. Please just turn the thumbs up button, let it turn blue. Many of you also on YouTube, please kindly do the same. Now, Buhari in 2014 was telling us that there is no need for government to pay subsidy. That subsidy is a fraud. And many actually agreed that, subsidy, it's in the way, I'll put it this way, subsidy Nigeriana, that is subsidy the Nigerian way, is a fraud. Subsidy is what countries all over the world use to help the downtrodden, to help those who don't earn much. In Germany, they call it Stadthilfe. Some people call it social. I think in the United Kingdom and some parts of Europe they call it social. If you don't earn certain amount of money, even in the United Kingdom, there is what they call, for the elderly people, winter fuel allowance. It doesn't matter, maybe around 100 or 120 pounds, they send it to people for them to augment their winter fuel. And especially sometimes if the weather goes minus to certain degrees, every older person, I think if you're up to 70 and above, they automatically receive that. Now, these are how government subsidizes with the city, subsidizes what the hardship of the citizens. But in our own case, what the government is invariably doing by continuing paying fuel subsidy is subsidizing the rich. Because you may wonder why, if you go to England or Germany, for instance, or even Sweden, you see that people don't drive SUV. Not that they cannot afford it, they can afford 100 of it, more than you in Nigeria, more than you here driving SUV here. No, but the reason why they don't drive it is because it consumes fuel more, or diesel. It's costlier to run. But here in Nigeria, the bigger, the higher the distance, you see people driving V8, some even maybe V12 or whatever it's called. And these are gasoline guzzlers. Of course, if you have money to buy big things, obviously, just like in many serious countries, you can buy 50 cars if you want. But if you buy 50 cars, you pay insurance on those 50 cars, because you cannot leave your car even in your own house, your own driveway, uninsured and without any road tax. You can't. It will be taken away from your house. So these are the way government controls those things. So if you want to have 10 cars, that means these 10 cars must have insurance, and these 10 cars must also at the same time have road tax for them to be allowed to drive on the road. And you see people managing their lives. But again, here, let me come down. Here, the Buhari is telling us that subsidy is a fraud. But I want you to listen to him here, and now tell me who is actually, let me not say anything, but just listen and make your mind.
If anybody said he is subsidizing anything, he is a fraud.
Did you hear that? If anybody says he's subsidizing anything, this was under Goodluck Jonathan, when they blew up the lead on the subsidy corruption payment. But he was there saying that Nigeria is supposed not to pay subsidy, that it was a fraud. It was a fraud, though.
So all these people talking about subsidy, who is subsidizing?
Now he's asking us. Everybody is talking about subsidy, then who is subsidizing who? So meaning that in 2014, Buhari was not the Minister of Petroleum. Buhari was not the president. But Buhari clearly understood that we ought not to pay subsidy, that those, I agree, paying subsidy are thieves. So let's put that one too. If we can agree on something, let's put that one to one side. Anybody paying subsidy is a thief. You agree? Type yes, because I'm getting somewhere with this. If you agree that anybody paying subsidy according to Buhari is a thief, I want you to type yes. So let us agree. If you're paying subsidy, you're a thief. In the words of Buhari, if you didn't hear him say that, I would play it again for you to hear him say, anybody paying subsidy is nothing but a thief.
He is a fraud.
See, he's a fraud. That is it. Anybody paying subsidy is a fraud. Okay? Fraud, thief, 419, 419, 420 minus 1, whatever it is.
So all these people talking about subsidy, who's subsidizing him? But there is so much fraud, as I said, and indiscipline and corruption that I don't talk about it.
Megaskia, there is so much fraud that he doesn't talk about it. When he was in the NNPC, there was so much fraud that he doesn't talk about it.
But the day I have to talk about it, I will ask the petroleum economists to come and tell me who is subsidizing Nigeria.
Okay, the day he will talk about it, he will ask the petroleum economists, including the petroleum minister, to come and tell him who is subsidizing who. Okay, you know, when we were small, there is this, some of you will not know, there is this, because we might be watching a movie now and the NEPA takes light, you know, the VHS, the one will slide like this, the VHS will get stuck. When you get it out, we have something we put on the DSS, we wind it like this, we call it a rewinder. So let us rewind. This was 2014. Now, let us get our thing and fast forward now. Let us fast forward, and we have just landed in 2016. Not even 15, 2016. Can anybody who is watching me now tell me who the petroleum economist is in Nigeria and who the petroleum minister is? If Buhari was saying that it is a fraud to pay for subsidy, now, who is the petroleum minister that have paid subsidy for 7 years? Who is that petroleum minister? I don't know the answer, but can somebody tell me in the comment section who is the petroleum minister that is paying this subsidy? I don't know. Tell me, help me out here.
Yes, Nigerian oil. Whose oil is it? We had 4 refineries.
We had 4 refineries, or they said the refineries were working, or they said the refineries weren't working under the the government that was still, the refineries weren't working.
The capacity of 480,000 barrels a day. Let's see if they are because of corruption. They have virtually allowed those refineries, to become so inefficient that I don't think they produce half their capacity.
Okay. He doesn't think at that time that they were producing half their capacity. But here, 7 years later, 7 years later, the refineries, we keep paying people money to go to work, yet they cannot refine a single oil. Before, they were functioning on a reduced capacity under corruption. Now there is no corruption. Suddenly, they have stopped working, and we are still paying, and we are paying subsidy. Asari Dokubo, you must come and tell us what is happening here, because this one passed me.
How many times would they tell you before you know that Nigeria is not for you? Now they never leave you. They have left you behind. Photo, not be juju be that. Sorry, oh. May God not allow them, make them kill you. 70 years old man. I am mumu too much. You be mumu. You think say they wise. You are a mumu man.
Asari Dokubo. You they hear this one? You know they hear this one. In fact, the thing, I'm speechless. If in the words of Odumejeku myself, we continue in past, because I'm confused. It has happened in so many years that the whole thing is no longer in the past. In fact, it is in the past participle.
You will be a past participant. Yeah. Hey! Ebu agomia. One day we go here. Say yesterday you are a past. So very soon you shall be past. Party. One day. Say tickle.
So now, I think I'm reading Basil Owando is saying that I'm taking what Buhari said out of context here. And I'm like, okay, please, I don't mind you come on, join me here and explain the context. The context here is that there was a fuel subsidy scandal, and he's saying that Nigeria ought not to pay fuel subsidy, that we can produce our own fuel in order not to pay fuel subsidy. But since the last 7 years, we've been paying fuel subsidy for the same thing that he said it is fraud. That fuel subsidy, anybody telling you that we are paying fuel subsidy or that we should be paying fuel subsidy, that it is fraud. So the question then is, if this is, so where is the change? So why did Goodluck Jonathan, that was paying, I remember that time, Tunde Bakari, everybody became a petroleum economist. Everybody, even the Viagra mouth from the Viagra mounted Labour Congress chairman from Edo State, or the carpenter wearing the carpenter wearing the coat made by carpenter wearing chairman. Everybody became a petroleum economist, and we're just talking rubbish. But today, we are paying 1.8 trillion. That's a national budget of some countries in Africa, 1.8 trillion. Now, to add salt to injury, I'll come to the second part, but let us finish the first part.
Now, instead of taking the balance of what to be refined outside, as we used to, when there's a turnaround maintenance when I was in petroleum, hardly Nigerians know. Because we negotiate with oil companies, we say, okay, Nigeria is using, say, 200,000 barrels a day. Take 200,000 barrels a day. You refine it, you bring the refined product to us. You sell the rest of things we don't need. And then you call the subsidy is Nigerian crude. We ask them to take a commission for what they have refined. But when our refineries, we built 3 more refineries. It used to be one in Port Harcourt. We built another one in Port Harcourt, 150,000. It was all than 250,000. Wari 100,000. Kaduna 100,000. And we asked, that's supposed to be adequate. Now, even if you are taking 250,000 barrels to be refined outside, all you have to do is to pay the fee for this refining, and you bring your own oil and sell it. And people say they are subsidizing. Who are they subsidizing? I don't understand it, and I need the petroleum economists who will explain to me this question of subsidy.
So, well, again, you need the petroleum economists to explain to you because you don't understand it, and I agree. You don't perfectly understand it. But before you confuse what I'm trying to say, my point is, I am of the view that subsidy should have been removed since 2012. What are we talking? Under Obasanjo, actually. If we had done it then, dusted, we would have been better now. The thing is, when it comes to fuel subsidy, I think it's one of those things that is not needed. Fuel subsidy, I believe, would somewhat correct our senses. The only thing that really makes me sick as regards to the fuel subsidy will be that, everybody uses generator. I pass my neighbor. That's the only thing that we might, struggle as a people. But if not, when it comes to fueling cars, then it means every one of us will begin to adopt means and better means of movement. But having said that, now the president now said, now look at this sense. We are paying 1.8 trillion, 1.8 trillion on subsidy. Again, I repeat, 1.8 trillion, bigger than some African national budgets, some African nations' budget. Now, the president thinks if we remove subsidy, I will say the president, invariably, as many of you said, he is the Minister of Petroleum. Okay, so Chico Ehidon there says is the Minister of Petroleum. So if he's the Minister of Petroleum and he's saying, if we take away the subsidy, 1.8 trillion, but what are we going to do? You think the government has some gray matters in between their scores? No. They will introduce what they call palliatives to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal. They will give 40 million Nigerians subventions. Please tell me, did you receive COVID subventions? I didn't. If you receive, you can easily say, I didn't. And if they are doing that, that will cost us 2.4 trillion. Fela, you must come back from the land of the ancestors, because something that hasn't even happened when you were shouting is happening now. Government magic that they will remove subsidy of 1.8 trillion and they will pay people subsidy of 2.4 trillion. Odumoje must hear this, because this is the one that you would think, in which area am I actually? Am I in Australia? Am I somewhere?
Will not be in Nigeria. This is your dream.
Amen.
I saw you want to enter Australia.
Australia, yes, sir.
Australia.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Oh, Bodum. You want to enter Australia.
Yes, sir.
Australia is an Australia. They are the same. Ta. Sonyata. Australia and Australia, all of you. All area. Australia and Australia.
So all of them na area. So in this contest, I say, all of them na politician. All of them na fraud. Whether na APC, whether na PCP, all of them na Australia. Unbelievable. But the government is trying to do a magic, and that magic is very simple. They are going to do the following. Let's listen to this analysis this morning on Channels TV. This was the morning newspaper analysis. So let's basically, you can see government is thinking of paying 2.4 trillion.
The removal of subsidy. So Daily Trust newspaper leads this morning the gamut of that one. FG mulls 2.4 trillion naira palliative as 1.8 trillion naira annual subsidy goes. That's what the Daily Trust newspaper leads with. No provision in 2022 budget, says Senate. 5,000 naira transport grants for 6 to 12 months, ascribed to the minister. No template to reach the poor, that's in parentheses. Find out who said it on the inside pages. And Labour knocks government, says palliative abate.
Well, we've all been hoping to get rid of this subsidy for a very long time on the condition that the effects can be cushioned for the Nigerian people. And that's what the government is trying to do here by introducing this 5,000 naira transport subsidy. But it's fraught with quicksand because, first of all, there's no template by which you identify the poorest of the poor.
Please, how do we identify? If we say that we want to identify Nigerians who are poor, by saying any Nigeria who has maybe less than 10,000 in a bank account is poor, it doesn't work because we have a lot of unbanked Nigerians. So how do we know who is? Again, you see, the thing is, there are two things that will be hurting Nigeria until all of us, east, north, west, south, until all of us repent. Two things must keep on hurting us. The fraud that all of us engaged in, because anybody saying it's only the north that engaged in census fraud is you're not being truthful to yourself. All of us, east, north, south, west, everybody engaged in census fraud. In my estimation, Nigeria is not up to maybe 110 million or thereabout, 110 or 120 million. But Nigeria is not up to 200 and something million because we've been pushing it because, money comes from local government based on population. That's how they share money. So everybody is wiring the numbers anyhow. I remember in 2006 when census was done, how every community and most communities got numbers that are so fictitious. And today we are working with that number. Having said that, the thing is that lack of data would keep marring the national planning. It makes it impossible. Look, if you are a thinking people and we really want to be serious, you could honestly in 2 maximum 3 years time, you could fix the issue of identity and population. While the population agreed that the population is growing astronomically, population needs to be controlled. You can't just keep marrying 4 wives, having 15, 20, 30 children. No. And yet, when these children, no one cares how you take care of them. So these ought to be looked into as well. But if we are serious, tell me the reason why up to now we have not linked the BVN, the banks, what's it called, the voters card, the national insurance, link everything into one so that an individual is an individual on this. Exactly. So if whatever you do, you have your identity. But again, government is trying to do magic by disbursing 2.4 trillion without any known metrics, known to man, how they're going to do that. I can see already that the government is getting ready, or those that work within the government, they're all the same, is getting ready to fill their bags. That's what
let's say 40 million people out of 200 million will be eligible to get this 5,000 naira transport stipend, which is supposed to cushion the effect of the removal of the subsidy. Because once the subsidy goes, the price of food is going to skyrocket naturally to what the market commands. And so, to cushion the effect for the poorest of the poor, they want to give everybody 5,000 naira a month transport allowance. First of all, there are a number of issues. They are not sure yet if they're giving for 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. If they end up giving 5,000,
it's just like you see, government. They mute an idea. Why do you even have to? Just imagine, for instance. You are in the United Kingdom. You are in America. You are in Rwanda. And the government comes in and says, we're going to do this and we're going to pay people. But we don't know how long we're going to pay people. How does that sound? Because you don't know if you're going to do this for 6 months, 1 year, or 9 months. You don't know. Just the same way that I can see a lot of us having an erection. Oh, the government announced we are going to get Air Nigeria. We'll start by April 2022. I say, unamumu never too much. How can you start a national carrier by next year? How? I am willing to bet anyone watching me now the same thing I said in 2018. I'm repeating again. This government cannot do it. It lacks the capacity, understands nada. Look at people. Google it, Air Nigeria. See who registered that site. This is free. Google Air Nigeria. Who registered it? When was it registered? You are planning to do an airline. You have not secured basic website. I don't want to begin to expose this other silly nonsense. But you haven't even done the basics. Oh, anyway, we'll get to that. Let's finish with this.
Naira a month to 40 million people. It comes to 200 billion. That 200 billion over 12 months comes to 2.4 trillion. Meanwhile, the subsidy itself is just 1.8. So essentially, we're going to be giving more money to save what we've already complained is too much.
Exactly.
And so it doesn't seem to compute when you look at it. However, having said that, if it's given for only 6 months, that cuts it to 1.22 trillion, which is actually less than what is paid on the subsidy annually. However, I want to give a caveat that the transport subsidy is only for 1 year. So we will only spend that 1.8 or 2.4 trillion for 1 year and it's over and done with, unlike the subsidy, which is annual and which is recurring and which continues to cost us money. So to get rid of the subsidy, we subsidize people's transportation for 1 year and it's over with.
I don't even want to begin. Because well, this is a whole new conversation on its own, so let me just leave it there because...
But then again, having said that, how do we pick the 40 million poorest people? They say...
Oh yeah, how do we pick the 40 million people? Maybe we begin to write our names. Only those that pay tax would get the money. Or maybe only those that enter keke like us will get the money. I don't know. So how do we? How do we? Left for me, my stand is very simple. Remove the damn subsidy. Water will eventually find its level. Remove the damn subsidy. You know the amount of money we pay. You see, the challenge is actually that government will even remove the subsidy. The same 1.8 trillion that we have been using to pay this subsidy will not be found to be seen, to be put anywhere. The same, again, and it boils down to the same argument people make why they do not pay tax. Because how can you be expecting people to pay tax if you cannot carry their dustbin, if you can't even the small pothole in there? In fact, why do you call it fish pond? Fish ponds everywhere with poto. If you go to Imo State, it's the roads are the game. You see fish ponds everywhere in Imo State. What am I saying, Imo State? If you go to Aba, we have fish pond in Imo, muddy fish pond. Then you go to Aba, you have Olympic-sized national swimming pool. That is the whole of Olympic times 20. That's what we have in Aba.
Okay, those
it's not unbelievable.
Even that conversation is on the front pages of the papers. I'm pretty sure that we're going to get to it
when the poorest
already.
Are unbanked.
Look at the leadership newspaper also, for instance. Subsidy removal. Senate experts query identity of beneficiaries of 2.4 trillion naira palliatives as the lead of the leadership newspaper this morning. And the story is on page 4. A couple of writers, no provision for palliatives in 2022 budget.
Now, again, the Nigerian are cruised. Imagine now, a government comes out, tells you, bear in mind, Buhari has submitted the budget. In that budget that he submitted, there was no provision for the 2.4 trillion. Now, he's now telling us that they're going to remove subsidy of 1.8 trillion, introduce subsidy now in form of palliative, not on petrol, not petroleum subsidy, but a human or transport subsidy that's going to cost 2.4 trillion. However, how are we going to fund it? Many of you, please, sometimes watch the UK debate, how they debate and the language they use in, sometimes I think we need that parliamentary system so that, some radical men can actually look the president every day and ask him serious questions. Because imagine Boris Johnson standing there, not knowing how he's going to fund something. Imagine the type of questions he will receive from men. Maybe that's why we have people who act as oracles, waiting for us to come and kill chickens, goats, and sheep for them to speak to us. And whenever they do speak to us, we become speechless because of the things that they will say to us. But here we are. You are planning to spend 2.4 trillion. All we are now doing is that we are filling the gap. The argument has now moved. Oh, they might actually use the money meant for the subsidy this year and move it to pay transport subsidy. Who does that? Were your brains not engaged or not intact when you were submitting the budget? The ones that you did in October. This is November. Come on now, come on, people. Why don't we get people to think?
It will last only 12 months. As the palliatives, according to the federal government. I think you've spoken to this. So it's that query of who are these beneficiaries? Who are these 40 million, people? Because according to the World Poverty Clock, we are very close to 100 million extreme poor. So is this palliative going to the poor or the extreme poor? That's another conversation altogether.
Or maybe to the party faithful.
Oh, well, that's another one altogether. Well, look at okay, right above the major story beneath the nameplate. Air Nigeria plans takeoff in April 2022. Are you optimistic?
I'm a bit worried about that because April 2022 is 6 months away. And for something that was just announced yesterday, starting an airline is not like starting a transportation company. To even get your airworthiness certificate takes a good 2 years.
A good friend of mine, Abu Maigoro, we were having a conversation this morning. I said, it comes to a point that I cannot engage certain people, to be honest with you, with due respect. Because how can someone with right senses intact be arguing and be thinking? And these are the same, I don't want to use the words idiots, but these are the same people whom in 2018, we are clapping that Nigeria is now launching an airline. Oh, that those of you in London, those of you in America, you can now come home with the $320. Yeah, it will be this. And I said that I think I made a video. I said, listen, I bet anybody 100,000. Not that I don't want it to happen, but when I look at what they've done, you've done nothing. Because you cannot go to, Farnborough in the United Kingdom. You can't go to Farnborough in an aid show. There, you do a PowerPoint presentation, say, hey, Nigerian Air Nigeria is launched, is going to do this, without partners. There is no plan, there is no agreement. You don't have anywhere you buy the planes. You don't know how you're going to buy the planes. It's after you've announced it in Farnborough, you started talking with Lufthansa. You started talking with Qatar Air. You started talking with Ethiopian Airlines. How, if they can partner with you, and these are conversations that take at least 1 to 2 years. These agreements, you begin to talk with aircraft manufacturers. How, and but to now just stand there and say, oh, we are going to have Nigerian Airway by April. I am willing to $1,000. Anyone who is willing to go and tell Minister of Aviation that I said, Mazezoke said, I'll bet in 100,000, $500,000 if, at least the one I know I can provide, if Nigerian Airways or Air Nigeria flies April 2022. If it flies, because I know it's dead on arrival. You don't have a website secured. You don't have, you virtually have nothing, absolute nothing. There is no way. You haven't even engaged in Nigeria. No lessons learned. One of the criticisms I gave the ministers of that time is I said, Minister, you missed it when he was on Twitter. But again, see, the government, there is no form of engagement. When he was on Twitter, I said, Minister, you missed it. If you really wanted the millions of naira you spent on designing the logo alone, you could have given a competition. We have brilliant minds in Nigeria, people who can design Nigerian logo free of charge, pro bono. Nigerian Air, Nigerian Air, whichever one, whether na Jonah swallow fish or before swallow Jonah, there was a swallow. One thing that is there is that there is air and there is Nigeria in it. Whether na Nigerian Air, whether na Air Nigeria, Whichever one is nothing. But we went to, I think that was Qatar again, that we went to, and we paid millions for people to cockle that nonsense they call their website and to couple together again what they call the logo. These are things, graphic designers in Nigeria, all you need to do is to maybe say, we are going to give anybody first, second, third prize, anyone, engage Nigerians, excite them that something is happening. Something is, Nigeria is globally, okay, design, any best design who's going to get maybe $1,000. It's not about the money, but it's about the engagement. Make it a competition. Allow people on Twitter to actually maybe pick the best of the logos. But they don't do it. They didn't do it in 2018, even when after the much criticism, now they are making the same mistake again. The caveat there is that even the Nigerian, the Air Nigeria, they are now telling us that it is going to come in 2022, April. For Christ's sake, April is in 5 months. In 5 months, that is going to come in 5 months. Then I ask how? Where you have absolute no plans on ground. Because they tell us, oh, Nigeria will have 5%. Other Nigerian consortium within Nigerian, entities will have the other 45%, maybe 40-something percent. Then the other 40-something percent will then be owned by people internationally who are not yet known. Anybody who hears this and doesn't run mad and doesn't go and look for stone may not understand what is happening. Because if somebody announces such, telling you that, oh, we're going to start this in 5 years, but whoever is going to own half of what we are starting, we don't know yet because we are still looking. You are still looking. You haven't negotiated about the aircraft. You haven't negotiated about nothing but your... Oh, no.
To negotiate for planes, to employ people, to train them.
They started the conversation, it was 2018 or 2019?
That was audio. Nothing ever happened. We just designed a logo.
What if something is happening, something has been happening and it wasn't in the public domain?
Nothing happened. It was just a logo that was designed, because the reason we know nothing happened is that this proposal was presented to the FEC, to the Federal Executive Council, 6 times. It was yesterday for the first time that it was even approved for consideration. As a result, nothing has been able to be done if it hadn't been approved in the past. So we're just starting from ground zero. And we've set a near impossible target of 6 months to do all the things that are necessary to get an airline up and running. I put it to you that it takes a minimum of 24 months, a minimum, because you have to negotiate leases on planes, you have to hire and train people, open branch offices, set up websites. There's so many things. To even get your airworthiness certificate alone, you go through trials and tests and things like that. So I'm a bit worried that I hope this is not another audio proposal whereby...
Well, maybe because, I mean, look at, for instance, the conversation around the governing of the airline.
Yes.
The federal government will have 5% stake.
Yes.
Nigerian investors will have 46% stake.
Yes.
So 51% altogether to Nigerians, and the foreign experts, technical, strategic foreign partners will take 49% partnership. Is that in any way likely to help speed up things?
Essentially, it's a PPP arrangement, public-private partnership, which we...
Yeah, but the thing, yes, this is a PPP arrangement, but the thing that is there is that the 49% that will be taken by foreign partners, according to the minister, they are not known, yet to be decided. And you make it, how can a son, how can a son, how do I translate? A son having a first son before his father. That's what it means. This is a question of the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first? You want to run an international airline. From subsidy to this, to the other one. International airline. International airline. Even those, even the ones, because they caught some Nigerians, even the ones that will be partner in Nigeria, until you tell them to deposit that money, say money no day. How? Man, Nigeria now.
I've always said government has no business in business anyway. Government's not efficient at running business. So that is a good structure to have, whereby private sector players will be the ones actually running the airline. So that gives it a good possibility of surviving and thriving, because of course private sector people have profit incentive, and as a result are bound to be more efficient and watch the bottom line a lot more carefully. However, having said that, even private sector players have to go through due process. There are processes that need to be followed scrupulously, because especially remember with airlines, safety is a big factor. Absolutely. So before you even get your airworthiness license, you go through so many safety tests.
You talked about airworthiness already like 3 times.
So I don't know how we're going to...
just hope.
I don't know how we're going to get it done in 6.
Anyway, people, you know, if you don't get it, forget about it.
You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about it.
Honestly, if you don't get it, that something is seriously wrong and something is seriously troubling us, then forget about it, because I do not. See, sometimes I have to interject with some humor, because let us not have heart attack, because you know the things happening when you listen to government, and the things happening, and you know it appears there is no succor inside. Not that one is a prophet of doom. At least whenever they do, that's why I disagree with some people sometimes. Whenever the government does something, or you know, I wouldn't say something right because I struggle to say what they've done right. But at least whenever it appears some senses actually is coming in, one should probably do. But I see no senses. You know, again, before you say you don't know where I stand for the fuel subsidy to be removed. That's me since 2012. I've been an advocate of it. I supported it even when Goodluck removed it in 2012. But the only thing is that Goodluck killed himself. He removed it. Everybody has agreed that it was going to be done 1st of April 2012. For some reason, he was tricked into, because you remember that time, Adams Oshiomhole, the former Minister of Finance, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the former Emir, if I call him former Emir now, he might come and sack me from Zahoga at the top, but he's still a former Emir. Former Emir, if you go shit B now, so what you do? You are a former Emir. So former Emir Sanusi Lamido Sanusi. Nduka Obeabon, you know, when all of them gathered, and the video is still there on Channels TV. I think it's distributed about 8 years. It should be 9 years now, I think. The video should be about 9 years old. This is there. You watch it and you think, how did we miss that point? But again, I blame Goodluck Jonathan, honestly, because if he had stayed with that agreement, the bond he had with the people. At that agreement, the people have actually, after explanation, people began to see, oh, this thing is suffocating us. This thing is killing us. We can use that money and put them into better use. But sadly, people went home for Christmas. The good, that mumu, that jazz, where they happened for Nigeria, suddenly happened to Goodluck Jonathan. In Okonjo-Iweala's book, if I may find the page, there was a place she tried to explain. Let me see if I can find, because in Okonjo-Iweala's book, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous, I think. Is it? Fighting Corruption is Dangerous. Okonjo-Iweala wrote that she actually was so shocked the day that Goodluck Jonathan announced that. And she tried everything. Let me see. In this book, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous, because I deal with facts. So in this book, if I can quickly find, let me see if I think I highlighted it. If I can quickly find it, it says that she was she was taken aback because once they've agreed everything, and they agreed it was going to be done in April. Then suddenly, on the eve of December, the president announced that subsidy has been removed. And bear in mind, that was done on that was a New Year message to Nigerians. And that made a lot of Nigerians angry. And in that anger, what then happened? Everyone protested. And in that protest, he removed it. Nigeria lost opportunities. Now, let me read something for us. But this is again something here. It says here, the forensic audit, a lost opportunity to regain good governance, according to Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. He says, getting to the occurrence of the Senate to do a forensic audit was one thing. Actually, commissioning the audit turned out to be extremely difficult because no one wanted ownership. Ultimately, the Senate decided to do its own investigation, but have the Jonathan administration take charge of the forensic audit. But who in the administration could take charge? Neither the finance ministry nor the Minister of Petroleum could oversee the audit because they both were interested parties. Now, Okonjo-Iweala was writing, this book was written, let me see, this book was written in 2000, I bought this book in 2018. So this book was written in 2018. By mere fact of what the excerpt I just read now, does it now become clear to you why all of us, we had off the mic, off your mic, when somebody was saying, all of you here are contractors, all of you were getting money from what was happening. But what then happened? Till today, all the money stolen from the NCDC, all too much N. NDDC, sorry. Okay, all the money stolen from NDDC. Why is it that after offering the mic, 2 years later, or rather going to 2 years, not a single soul, not one person has been investigated? Talk less of jailing. You know what? Just like Okonjo-Iweala said here, they are all interested party. They are all interested party. And when I talk about they are all interested party, I mean every single word of it. Because they are all interested party from what? From top to bottom.
See, APC from top to bottom. Top to bottom. Top to bottom.
So from top to bottom, all of them are interested parties. I mean, you will not, because this, if you ruffle the feather, you begin to look. The hand you're looking at might begin suddenly, it will be changing color. It will change to Hausa. It will change to Yoruba. It will change to Ijo. It will change to Igbo. Fulani will come inside. Mumuye will come inside. You know, all of them. By the time you know it, you know that what we have is surely and nothing else but the conspiracy of the thieving elite, whom I do preferably call the thieving elites, the lootocrats, the looting elites. You know, they don't like it, but that's what they are. That's what they do. So I'm still, I wish I could just find where Okonjo-Iweala put it down, that at the end of these things, the President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was to blame. Now in 2014, fast forward. So let's leave what have ever happened with Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And I was actually hoping that Goodluck Ebele Jonathan would have, in his own book, this book that he wrote, My Transition Hours. I was actually hoping that in this book, that was one of the reasons I bought this book, hoping that he would have answered some of these questions raised in this book. But again, let's hope that before they leave this earth, that some of these things we will hear from the horse's mouth. Again, people, 70-year-old man our mumu. You never do. You never.
How many times would they tell you before you know that Nigeria is not for you? Ah! Now they never leave you. They have left you behind. Photo, not be juju be that. Sorry, oh. May God not allow them, make them kill you.
No, they're not going to kill me. They're not going to kill me. But all of us now, 70-year-old man will be. You get it? If you don't get it.
You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about it.
On that note, people, thank you very much for joining me once more. Let me not take this conversation for too long, but let us pray for strength, because tomorrow is going to be my hangout. Join me tomorrow, 7 o'clock, for my hangout. I'm going to be talking about something interesting. So I need power. Tomorrow, this night, I'm going to go and get more powers. I'm going to get Ganduje Ganduka. The Ganduje power is not the one to agbadanize some dollars, but it's Odumejaic Ganduje Gandusa. On that note, I say good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Thank you. I am still Mazes, okay? Please do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to this platform. And good night, everyone.
I have so many power. Le Baduse play Lamante. I have Abido Shaker. I have never touched those ones. I have Dabus Kabash. Yes. I have Ganduka Gandusa. Mbeg Iwalonios.
Before I go on, let me postulate from the Franz Fanonian dictum, which stipulates that the dialectics of reconciling two conflicting ideas is the algebra of revolution. The overbearing intervention of the state government had further exacerbated oporombium and amounting to sadomasochisms. Acrimony and chaos in our community. It was a contumelious stratagem by political jobbers to siphon monies. We suffer what we call political axivia neonantorum. Conclusively, we are a microcosm of the issues in the Niger Delta in the macrocosm.